All right, Ricky, man, how you doing?
Hello, doing well. Raul. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you, man. First time
You
on video
too.
today.
Yeah. Been a while since we've done video.
Yeah, it's true. All right, let me introduce you to everybody. Everybody, if you've not met Ricky before, if you've not seen his pretty face before, this is it. Ricky and I have been talking over my podcast on Spotify the last couple of months,
Sorry.
and we finally decided to do this on video. And there he is, the pretty lady. And dude,
Hello,
I
hello.
tell you, I love the comb.
Yeah, the pick
Very
in the
cool.
hair.
Very, very old school Spike Lee. Love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, I'll go out sometimes and I'll forget I put it in my hair, and then people will like see me and stuff and like give a double take, and I won't really realize. And then like 15 minutes will go by, and I'll go to touch my hair or something, or I'll see it out of the corner of my eye finally. I'm like, oh shit! Like everybody's been watching me and thinking that like, oh, this guy thinks he's cool like this, or he's got this vibe going on. Like, no, that's not me. I just forgot. That's
I've
the
only seen
vibe.
it. I've only seen it on
I'm
TV. I don't think
forgetful.
I've never seen
I've
anybody
done it
actually.
like this, like all kinds of stuff, like even like this in the back, like, and I'll forget because I just put it up there, like after I'm done, like poofing it a little bit, and yeah,
when you,
so
when you when you put it back there, you look like a samurai from the
yeah,
like that. Like yeah, that's like a samurai. It's pretty cool.
Samurai Rick instead of Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
That'd be
All
cool.
right, man. Well, thanks for doing this. We're
Yeah,
talking about travels. Okay, now if you haven't followed my podcast before, Ricky and I have been speaking on it. So it's a cool story. Ricky and I met while traveling, and
a little
we're
over a
both.
year ago.
Yeah, man, he reminded me of that the other day. That's pretty cool that
Maybe
you
this
remember.
time last year we would have. I think by this time we would have split up again.
Because I
I think
only
by
had
this
like,
time I was in Pi.
yeah, you were in Pi with your pretty lady, and I was back here working for a living.
Are you back already by then? I thought you were still.
I'm not sure because I know that I was there for 10 days, and
Okay.
you were there for a month.
Yeah, but I think, oh yeah, maybe no, yeah, maybe by this time you would have been back because, yeah, I don't know. Because I remember we went to Chiang Mai on the 3rd or 4th of.
Yeah, so I was back for sure because I was like 10 days, so that's yeah 17. I was probably just back.
Yeah, just like
So
that.
cool story how Ricky and I met. I flew all night on. I mean, when I say I flew all night, I didn't fly the plane. I was a passenger, and I was just gonna pit stop in Bangkok for just gonna just pit stop break journey before I go to Bali. I was thinking I'm going to Bali, and I
Yeah,
didn't
that's
want
what
to
I was
do
thinking.
yeah I didn't want to do a continuous journey. So I said, all right, I'll just stop by the hostel, get some rest, and then I'll travel to Bali. And I hadn't slept all night because it was an all-nighter flight. And as you know, I just can't seem to sleep on those flights. Just watching TV or whatever. Checked into the hostel. Got my bed was being cleaned, so I went down, and it was already about lunchtime. And I got myself a beer and some food. And this guy came sat next to me, and we became friends. And that's another friend of ours called Dempsey. And then Ricky and Dempsey stopped by, and they were not even staying in the hostel that I was in. And from then, we just became really good friends. And I didn't even sleep for 2 days. And we went out sightseeing, got hammered all day, got hammered all night, just had a blast basically. And then we just decided, let's just travel together, man. So we just spent a couple of days in Bangkok and then traveled to Chiang Mai, which was just great, man. Just great. And
Yeah, if I was gonna live anywhere in Thailand, I think it would like Chiang Mai right now leans the heaviest.
is it?
Uh,
That's
yeah,
yeah,
just
like
'cause
from a
it's like
city point of view.
not. Yeah, it's not as big. I mean, it's the second largest city in Thailand, but it's not nearly as big as Bangkok. But it still has a lot going on. Good cocktail scene. At least the few bars that we went to.
Oh,
You
that
know,
one bar. That
yeah,
one
the
bar.
Apaburi, is that it?
Nafaburi. Ricky found a great bar there. We first day we went there, we were just trying to figure out, where to drink. So we went to some of the touristy bars. They were fine. There's nothing wrong with them.
I mean, nothing wrong with them, but
Yeah. And then one day he found out some bar, and he said, because Ricky likes cocktails, so we found a bar which is like literally behind our hostel. It was about a 5 to 7 minute walk, really narrow lanes, and a small little bar. But I tell you, the best
Oh, yeah.
cocktails I've ever had in my life, hands
Yeah,
down.
I think if you had like 15 people in there, it would have been tight, too
Yeah,
tight.
yeah. And it was such a cool decor too, man. I mean, I love the
Yeah,
decor.
yeah, very cool. They even had a thrift store on the second floor, which I
Yeah,
know you didn't go up there, but I don't think you went up there, but I went up there. It was pretty cool. It
I
would
didn't
have
go up
fit
there.
right in, like the whole place had a very like Asheville vibe.
Oh yeah.
Would have fit right in. Yeah.
Well, if that's the Asheville vibe, I gotta live in Asheville, man.
Yeah,
Even the
man.
bathrooms, dude. Even the bathroom. Remember the photographs of the naked ladies?
Oh
Like
yeah.
old photographs of naked ladies, not
Old
the newest stuff.
school like 70s nudie magazine
Yeah,
pictures.
really cool.
Exactly what
And
you
then
want while you're taking a piss, right?
yeah, and since it was such a small place, we used to sometimes we used to just sit outside the door, not
Oh yeah.
inside. Like there was like a small bench outside, and if it wasn't even a bench, I don't think it was a bench. It was just
It
a
was
bunch of
like there was like a three, it was like a 2 or 3 seater. I think it only fit two of us. Maybe it could fit three
oh
or
yeah,
four
yeah.
people.
It's like a park
But
bench.
like,
You're right. Yeah.
yeah,
And we should just hang out with like locals just walking by random people and shit. It was a fun bar.
yeah, it
It
was
was
a cool
great.
spot.
So yeah, Ricky and I have been friends ever since. There's another guy who used to live with Ricky. We were three musketeers there, and we had a blast. And then Ricky went to Pai, and I went to Chiang Rai, and we never crossed paths again actually. But we've been in touch. So that's nice.
Yeah, we've talked at least once a week since
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
Yeah,
Make best friends when you travel, man. I gotta tell you that.
yeah.
All right, so my brother from another mother, we're gonna talk about some cool travel stories here. Uh, we've got a few, I'm sure. And you got anything that comes to mind? Tell me some of your favorite travel stories.
Hmm. I mean, I know we've talked
You gotta be
about some
louder,
of
dude.
them.
Can't hear you.
We've talked about some of them before,
Yeah.
like the various things. But I guess I think I mean, I guess every place you go to, there's a little bit appeal. Or there's not a little bit appeal. I'm sorry, like something that was pleasurable. I guess when I was in Europe, I spent I had a layover in Copenhagen on my way back from Europe to America. I was coming from the Netherlands. The layover for like I think it was like 20 hours or something like that in Copenhagen. That was cool. Just to I mean I that was one that I like did by myself. It was just me going around the city, stuff like that. It was cool just to for I don't know if anybody's been to Copenhagen, but Christiansen,
Christiania. Yeah, I was there.
Christiania, yeah, that's that place. It was a cool little place to visit because it was like, even though it was like smack dab in the middle of Copenhagen, like it's still well, not really. It was more on the edge, really. But overall, it's in the middle. It's in Copenhagen, but it's its own little subset, like town kind of thing. It's like, yeah, they're I don't know. It was cool because like for example, they sold weed there like on tables, like and it was
Yeah.
just like pounds of it and hash and all this stuff. But what was really funny was like so like Chris in that area it's legal, but since they're still part of Copenhagen and then it's technically illegal. So the cops will come around and so while I was there, I remember walking through, I bought a J or two, I think, and like not 5 minutes go by and cops come through and literally all these people who would like, there's easily 15, 20 guys who are there selling different stuff. They probably each have on them like four, at least 3 or 4 pounds of weed, it seems like, in different variations and stuff like that. And within less than like a minute, all these guys, boom, are up, packed up, and out because of how quickly they just to avoid the cops. It's kind of crazy to watch. It was awesome. It was very unexpected by how quickly they reacted and everything like that. But it was just cool to also be in that little area because again, it was like a little hippie town. I guess I kind of everything, but like you always like I guess compare things to where you're from or what you're used to. And at that time, I was living in Asheville before like visiting that area, and so again, it reminded me very much of an Asheville kind of like thing in regards to like people, I guess, kind of doing their own thing, very like community oriented and anti-establishment. Um,
Yeah.
that was that little subset was in there,
Little
and
autonomous society of their own.
Yeah, I even got somebody to help me out with my bike for free. Like, I'd rented some, because everybody bikes there, so I rented some bike while I was like in the city to bike around and get to various places. And I guess the handlebars were loose, so like they were coming off as I was riding, which is obviously not ideal if you want to like navigate. So
Navigate or live,
I
maybe.
live, stop on time when there's a bus, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, So fortunately, though, this guy, like, yeah, he helped me out. He was living in that little town. They had a bike shop, and I was like, oh, what do I owe? He's like, nothing. Just here's what you need to fix it, and just gave it to me. So that was really cool. That was a nice thing, I guess, because it was unexpected to be in such a big city that is Copenhagen's been around for centuries, obviously, and very well established, but to have this little hippie subset of the area that was completely different and still kind of, I mean, it's definitely changing over from what I had read about it and from even talking to people who were there at the time. It's like the people who originally created that area to make it like to like create their own little city within a city, like a lot of the ideals that were there surrounding that are now like going on the wayside, and that area is very valuable in terms of both how much it costs to be there at this point, but also in terms of like the cultural not connotation, the cultural history of like that part of the city. So what they see is like they're being like a lot of those little people who lived in these homes for like 30 years or so are being bought out, because they want to develop the area and change it into something else. And similar to Asheville again, everything goes back to there. It's like that whole hippie vibe that started the place, or like kind of like didn't, if not started it, then like kept it going through some hard times, like, and is brought in a lot of people, is being slowly pushed out because it is becoming popular. And now it's like, okay, the people who first created that kind of popularity or created the environment for which it could grow no longer can afford to live there. So it's an interesting, it turned out to be an interesting dynamic. But, yeah, so that's just one, I guess, one fun, and it wasn't really a story, but, just an experience I had traveling that was enjoyable to me.
Oh yeah, it's a cool experience. I remember going to Christiania myself, and I remember quite well. In fact, I have pictures of it. As you entered, I don't know what year it was. It was a while ago. And as you entered, there was a board which says you are now leaving the EU. And as you exited, it said welcome back to the EU or something like that. And yeah, there was this pot everywhere, and there was like musicians everywhere. It's like in a
Yeah,
bit of a woody area, so they got homes. It's actually really expensive real estate
exactly. Yeah.
because people, and I think it's autonomous, man. So I mean, I didn't know about this. You said, like you said, the cops came in and they disappeared, but I thought it was like legal to sell stuff there. All they told us was not to take photographs. So it was like no photographs, no photographs everywhere. They plastered the sign said no photographs. But yeah, really cool place, man. Christiania is it's really cool.
I mean, I guess it is and it isn't, because, like I said, it is technically legal because Christianatown or whatever it is not technically a part of the city. But at the same time, it is in so many respects that, like, I guess at this point, maybe, and also it could be that it's changed from between the time that you went and the time that I went. Um, but yeah, it's my understanding at this point, it's like it's not illegal for them to be doing that anymore in that way, but they still do it because it's like the accepted place for that to happen. And so while it's illegal and like they don't like I said, they could have came in really quiet, like, and ran in and then arrested all those guys. They really kind of just walked in. They didn't make a big scene about it, but they also didn't try to hide anything to give the guys enough time to like kind of get their stuff together and get out.
If everybody's wondering why Ricky looks so preoccupied, is because he's just been inspired by his story and his experience of Christiania. And he's working on a little piece of art which cannot be shown on television. But if you can, oh, okay, maybe it can. Thank you for
it's
making me edit more. But there you go.
it's grass.
It's legal where you are, so I suppose it's fine.
Mm,
People are going to jail over here for that. For that.
yeah, no, not over here.
He
I guess,
means
and
when he means grass, he means like the freshly cut green grass from his backyard this morning,
yeah,
just for all the
uh,
kids.
yeah, they're looking to legalize it overall here, like in general, and also get rid of like people who have been arrested and convicted for charges on it. Like they're
Nice.
looking to expunge those records as well. So
Tell me, so just talking about that, all of Europe is now legalizing it. So I think the biggest allure of Christiania was the fact that you could smoke pot there. Now, if one day the country of Denmark says it's legal, which is definitely going to happen, I think, in the next couple of years at least, at the most rather. If they say, okay, it's legal now, you can smoke wherever you want under certain circumstances, and have some rules about it, like Amsterdam. Then what's the lure of Christiania then? Nothing. I mean, it's cool. It's got a cool vibe to it, but the biggest lure was till now was the fact that you could roll up wherever you want.
Yeah, I mean, they would definitely lose, but I think it's the same way like the first of anything. Like it's the place that it's the history of the place. I think will still always be there, like that kind of thing. Like you're not going to lose that. Like, yeah, you can find it anywhere, but it's still going to be a place where people are like, oh, I still want to go there because that's where it was happening before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's still got the I mean, but it's a beautiful part inside. It's got a very it's got a very
even without
vibe.
That part, it still is a very pretty part of the city. So,
that city is so beautiful, man. Copenhagen is so beautiful.
Copenhagen's pretty, yeah.
Yeah, I love that place. Every few years, somebody goes and chops off the head of the Little Mermaid. You know that? Somebody goes and chops it off. Yeah. When I went there, my cousins are Danish, so I was there when to see the Little Mermaid, like everybody does. And they're like, well, you're in luck because somebody just reattached the head back on. Somebody just comes and just decapitates the Little Mermaid.
What do they do with their heads? I mean, what did she do? She was a cool chick.
She is.
I think The Little Mermaid is why I got into redheads, at least from the movie. I don't know if.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if
Oh, definitely. I totally feel you there, man. Totally. All right, let me tell you one cool story. I mean, we've all had so many stories. I guess if you put somebody on the spot, it'll be tough to just recollect. But I'm sure we have so many experiences which one remembers. This is in India. All right, I was traveling through India, and we rented a bike. And I was just riding a bike all around the country. And I went from the south. In fact, you know what? I left my phone and traveled for like about 3 months. I left my phone at the airport security and never bothered to get it back. And I ended up in Goa, thinking I'll be in Goa for like 5 days. And I ended up coming back to Mumbai after 2 months, traveling down all the way south, made a lot of friends, learned to ride a bike. So another British friend of mine, he stopped by on his bike, old bike, we should call her Susie. Yeah, it's like an old Suzuki 13-year-old Fiero is like So when I learned to ride my bike, then what we did was we put the bikes on the local train, not a local train, like a regional train, and we sent it to a town up north called Amritsar. And then we flew there, took our bikes, and went to the mountains to Dharamshala. Dharamshala is a place where the Dalai Lama lives. And we spent some time in a beautiful village there called Dharamkot. It was like bliss, bro. I can't even. I mean, you know what? I can't explain to you my day. I will. But while I was there, one day we went exploring. So there's a huge a monastery there called. I think it's called. Let me look it up. It's called Gomte Lam, or is it Gomtak? I think it's called Gomtak Monastery. It's so. Anyways, I'll get the name right, but doesn't matter. So one of the guys, he's a young Rinpoche, which is like a Buddhist leader. Okay, and he had escaped China, Tibet, and he took refuge in India when he was 17. He's like the Dalai Lama, but another sect of Buddhism, and he set up this beautiful monastery. I think it's called Gomtak, but I'm gonna reconfirm that. It's a beautiful, beautiful monastery. It's like you got the mountains behind you, and you got the golden monastery in front of you, and you got like quarters on both sides for the monks and student monks, and they live there. And the thing is, while trying to find it, we got lost a little bit, so we got late. right? So when we went there, it was already late. So we parked the bike and walked to the actual temple site, and it was closed from all sides. The door was closed, so we couldn't enter the temple. So we said, oh well, we got to admire the building and the mountains and everything. No harm done. So we just took a walk around the perimeter of the temple, and everything was closed, but there was this one curtain, you know, and I was just being curious. So I just peeped in through the curtain, and immediately I closed, and I said, "Oh shit! I think I goofed up." And my friend Danny was with me, so he's like, "What's in there, man?" I said, "Dude, I think we goofed up, man. Let's just leave." So he's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "I think I disturbed somebody." And little kid, like, must be like 10 years old, proper monk with a shaved head and the maroon robes. He comes running out and he says, "Come." I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't really mean to disturb you." He's like, "No, come, come, come." So somebody must have told him, "Let us come in." So me and my friend, we left our slippers outside and we got in. And here's this huge, huge auditorium. Like, imagine like the banquet hall of a five-star hotel, that large. And right in the front of the banquet hall, or of the auditorium, is it's like one, two, three tiers. So at the bottom tier, there are like three lamas. I'm just gonna call them lamas. They're monks, but I'm guessing they're like superior in rank. So there are like three of them here, two of them on top, and like a pyramid. One guy sitting right on top. Okay, and they've got this huge headgear. The headgear was as tall as they were. So it's like a 5 feet tall headgear. I'm not joking. I'm not even exaggerating, dude. And there are like 50 monks sitting in one row here, another 50 monks sitting over here, right? And uh, then like the student monks are sitting on the other side. Must be like another 50 of them on the ground, and they're chanting, man. It was mind blowing. So this one row was doing the actual chant of the whatever the words are, and the other side was making that the throat singers of there's these throat singers. I guess I think in Central Asia they have these throat singers. They're going ding, can't do it,
Yeah.
but you're creating the bass. I mean I'm doing a shitty job, but it's like real
But
bass.
no, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
It was so incredible, dude. And it was like a ceremony. It was lasted maybe 45 minutes, huh? And they're like removing their headgear. I guess there's a process of how you remove it. It symbolized something. And then one small kid would go running from here to there, carrying something, another thing. The whole thing. Just me and my friend sitting there like, oh shit, this is insane. It was so good, dude. And all by
Like
chance, we had no idea this was actually happening there. It was crazy, dude.
private viewing. That's cool.
Sorry?
It was
Yeah,
a private viewing.
it was like a what?
A private viewing.
It was a
Like,
private viewing. It is a private
show.
viewing. Yeah. I just want to get the name right. It's next to I think it's called the Kyoto Monastery. That's the one. Kyoto. I call it Kyoto. Kyoto Monastery. Yeah, Kyoto Monastery. It is. Let me read it out for you. It's really beautiful, dude. It really is. If you ever go there, you should go there. When you come to India, I'm gonna take it.
If I ever go there, I should peek behind the curtain. So
Yeah. When you ever go there, you go there late and peek behind the curtain. That's what you gotta do. Oops. Yeah. Yeah. What else, man? Tell me some more stories. What's the craziest thing you've ever done in one of your travels?
I don't think I'm not. Nothing traveling. I can't think of anything traveling that I've done that's too crazy.
All right, not traveling. Otherwise,
Well, what do you? Nothing
you're
crazy.
just not a crazy guy. You just don't do crazy.
No. I'm an easygoing, chill guy. I go with the flow. I don't do a lot of crazy shit. You know?
Yeah.
Stupid sometimes. Drunk and stupid, sure.
Oh,
But,
that works. Tell us one of those stories.
Well, there's one that's not too crazy. It's nothing crazy or anything like that. But there's this drunk story, and this I'll lead into another good travel story. But when I was traveling through Colorado, This must have been like 7 years ago or something like that. Close to 7 years ago, I think. Around this time too. I was traveling to Colorado and decided to do this outside of Aspen called Conundrum Hot Springs, the Conundrum Trail.
That's a nice name.
Um, yeah, no, it's a good name. This hike that is, I think the hike is like 5 miles. No, it's like 8 miles, and you go through 5 different valleys on your way up, and you start at like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 thousand feet, and you end up at like 12 or 13,000 feet when you're done.
That's pretty good.
Like climbing up these 5 valleys. So really, the I guess the issue around it was like just me and my girlfriend at the time. We were very ill prepared for a hike like this. Like we had not really brought the right equipment at all, right kind of equipment. We hadn't brought enough supplies. We didn't think about how long the journey was. So like, for example, we leave, and I'm sure like the people like climbing back down the mountain like would see us and be like, oh, look at these like out of towners. They must be, because it was stupid the way we were dressed. But like, so we start this hike at 8 mile hike at like 4 in the afternoon, which is already stupid because it's going to take us at least 6 hours or so to get there. And the last 2 hours of our hike were in pitch black darkness.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, we were hiking through the woods. Somehow we managed to stay on this trail, but we were hiking through the woods in pitch black darkness. She's got a little hatchet in her hand that she's carrying around to like defend against like animals and bears and stuff like that. I was like, I asked her, I was like, what's the hatchet for? She's like, oh, if a bear or a wolf attacks. And I'm like, I was like, oh, okay. But because I didn't say like, yeah, that's going to do jack shit if a bear or a wolf attacks. But if it makes you feel better and can get us up there quicker, cool. So it didn't make a big deal. But so we finally get up to the top. It's like 11 at night by the time we get up there. Like I said, walking just darkness the last few hours. And so this is my first time at like living or being in this kind of elevation for an extended period of time. And I hadn't known about the whole, if you are at a high elevation, alcohol affects you more quickly or more intensely than if you're at a lower elevation. And if you're not used to that, it can have a big effect. So at that time in my life, I was used to being able to like drink a bottle of liquor by myself. And, I might not love it the next day, but I wouldn't be that bad. But at 13,000 feet, it's quite a different story. So we bought a bottle of rum, regular 750 milliliter, whatever, like the normal bottle. And I think I poured her one drink. And by the end of the night or the next day, I look and there's like this much left in the bottle from the night before. So I drank basically like 90%, 95% of that bottle in that one sitting at this elevation. But I was so like, again, we didn't bring enough supplies, didn't have the right equipment. The next day, I couldn't move. We didn't have enough water, so we had to like beg the neighbor to let us use their filter so we could put more water back in the gallon jug that we had brought. I just couldn't move all day. I laid in the tent, didn't go anywhere. She was pissed off at me the whole time. But that night, I got so drunk that night that like I was yelling at the top of my lungs in these hot springs while there's other people like trying to enjoy the weather and the beauty of the thing, and I'm just being a belligerent asshole. And I don't know how nobody yelled at me. Nobody said anything. I was just drunk. I was like, I can't even go. I don't want to record with the things I was saying. Again, so.
I tell you, these tourists.
Idiotic. So I did that, and she was pissed at me for, whatever. We had to spend 2 days there instead of one. But on the way back down, we ended up having to sleep in our car I think we came down, like we went up on a Wednesday, we came back down on a Friday. And that Friday was, I think, Labor Day weekend. So everybody had a long weekend, and therefore, like our plan at that time was just to like travel around and like camp, at random camping spots and stuff like that, for the most part in terms of like staying places, which we had been doing. But because it was Labor Day weekend, like everybody's off, and living in Colorado, most people enjoy the outdoors. So they decided to take off and go camping. And like things were booked months in advance for this time. So everywhere we go to like, find a camping spot, they're all filled up, all booked. Like even the ones that are like free, people were at. So the first night, Friday night, I think we slept in our car somewhere on the highway, just some side spot. And the next night, we're traveling again. I think we're in Basalt, Colorado at this point. I had to fix some problem with my car. So at that point, we're like, okay, well, it's later in the day by now. We're just gonna, call it a day and like get some beers and chill here, and like just in the parking lot and sleep in the parking lot. It was like next to there's a Whole Foods nearby, and then there's this liquor store. And I think we went to the Whole Foods for dinner, and then went to the liquor store to get some drinks and car. But while we were in there, I started talking to one of the people working there, dude working there, and told him like, yeah, we're visiting from Jersey, but we're stuck in our car because everybody's taking the spots, blah blah blah. And I was like, so yeah, so we just decided to grab some beers and kind of just sleep in the car and chill. Oh yeah, and I was at that time weed wasn't legal. It was medically legal, but not recreational. So you had to have a card. So we didn't have one at that time. So I was also looking for bud. So I remember asking him for some weed, and telling him everything else at the same time. And he ends up being like, you know what? I don't have any to sell you, but I've got some at home. And also, you're not going to sleep in your car tonight. You guys can stay at my place.
This is the cop?
Random person. Yeah, this is at the liquor store. This guy who works there.
Oh, that's nice.
Random dude. Oh yeah, not at the top of the mountain. This is there later. Random dude. He's like, so for one, he lets us into like this is like I said, there's a liquor store, but they had this little like seating and like beverage area where they sampled stuff. So he's like, all right, come take a seat over here. He brought us a bunch of beers. He's like, you can sample these, and just gave it to us to drink. And then like he had like an hour or something like that before he had to close. So we just hung out there and drank for an hour. Then he closed. We followed him back to his place, and like he had two roommates, or it was like a roommate, no, two roommates I think, or a roommate and a girlfriend, whatever it was. And we hung out with them, just drank and smoked and chilled, and then the next morning peaced out. And it was really random and cool. It was really nice of him to offer that because, like I said, we would have just slept in our car. It would have been a lot less pleasant.
Just
unfortunately, never kept in touch with him. I think I hit him up a couple times, but never much after that.
Just a good Samaritan, man.
Yeah. That was a nice experience. I was not expecting it at all in the middle of Colorado or anywhere for that matter. But it was a good time.
That story could have ended with you being good friends with a guy like you are right now, or you still being stuck in his dungeon.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm glad that you're not in his dungeon.
I told my parents about that one originally. They were like, especially my mom. She's like, "You didn't know him, and you went to his house, and you slept there. Like, what were you thinking?" I was like, "Mom, I was thinking that I was really uncomfortable in my car, and he offered me free weed and booze. I mean, I don't understand."
Where was your girlfriend? Did she not come?
She was there too. No, she came too. She was cool with it.
There you go. That's the beginning of most horror stories, right there.
Yeah.
All right, let me tell you another fun story I had. It just I was thinking about, since you said Europe, in Denmark some time ago. I totally forgot about the story. It just came back to me. My first trip ever traveling was Italy, and it was in 2008. Didn't have much money. I had no idea how to backpack or anything. I really didn't even know what hostels were, to be honest. And I showed up, and I made my, I understood how it works in Rome and blah blah blah. So and I met one girl there, okay, in Rome, and we were on a walking tour or something, became friendly, and that's it. We forgot about it. And then I was on a bus about. That was the first time I was traveling. So bus about is a hop on, hop off bus route. They have different routes around Europe. So so I went from Barcelona. So I went from Rome to Florence, right? So when I was in Florence, I could have I've got a ticket, like I've got 6 tickets, so I could just get up at any time and catch the next bus to wherever it's going, whatever I want. So I ended up in Florence, and I didn't know what hostels were, so I got booked through somebody, and that guy booked all these hostels in campsites. So they were like 3 train rides plus a bus ride away from the actual city. So it was a horrible booking. But again, I didn't know any better. But I don't know why all these places were full though. They were so inconveniently located, but they were all full with like normal backpackers. I think it's because the bus went there. Anyway, so I met this one girl. I still remember her name. Her name's Anna. I'm not in touch with her. It was before the world of Facebook. So Anna I had met, and like you said, redhead. She was the first proper redhead that I met. So we met in Rome, and forgot. And then I was in Florence, and lo and behold, she's in the same campsite as I am. So I'm like, hey, Anna. So we hung out. It was during the Euro Cup, Euro 2008, I think it was, right? So, so we were in the city of Florence now. Okay, we were walking around. It was beautiful, and a bunch of us, we decided to go watch I think it was the quarterfinals or the semifinals, right? But it was Italy playing, and I think it was Italy versus Spain. Okay, now long story short, Italy lost. All right, and the people were not happy, and it was like a mini riot on the streets. People just pissed off, throwing shit around, cursing the Azzurri or whatever they're called, right? They're called Azzurri, I think, yeah. So now the thing is, it's going nuts over there. So we gotta get the heck out of Dodge. And also, the last bus that we could take to go across to that campsite was gonna leave in like 15 minutes or so. So it's like a movie, like you're pushing people around, protecting people around. So I was with Anna, so I was like, all right, let's go, let's go. I had a hand, I held her, like I was holding her hand and running through people, and it was really beautiful. It was like a movie, because if you've been to Florence, there's the Ponte Vecchio, which is a beautiful, beautiful bridge, and there's another bridge next to it, which is also beautiful. So it was great because it was a full moon night, and I'm running on that bridge, and I can see the Ponte Vecchio. And it's a full moon. I got a beautiful girl's hand in my hand. We were escaping a mob or whatever, and it was great. And it was the last bus, and I was like, Anna, you gotta keep up. We're gonna miss the bus. And she says, if I was not wearing my tongs, I would be running faster than you. Okay, so she says that. Now, dude, I've never left. I'm from Mumbai, little guy from this village called Mumbai. You know what I mean? When she says tongs, I think tongs. I'm like, ooh, okay, cool.
Yes,
little bit of detail I didn't need to know, but I'm glad I do. So I was like, no worries. So we get there, we get on the bus, no problem. And then we go back, and it's been a bit of an exhilarating experience. So things happen, and I'm like, hold on, that you were wearing tongs. She's like, no. I said, you said you were wearing tongs. That's why you couldn't run faster. And she's like, no, I said tongs. Did you know what that means?
like flip flops.
Yeah, tongs and flip flops. I didn't know that, man. That's Aussie talk right there, dude. Did you know it was not Aussie talk? You don't call it tongs in the States.
No, we don't. But, like, I guess I don't know why, but that's what I thought of when flip flops.
Because you've dated Aussie girls, that's why, and you know that's Aussie
Maybe
girls.
that's what it is. Maybe I've heard
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So I'm like, well, travel's the best education, man. Just learn something new right there. There's difference between tongues and
Culture, yeah.
tongues.
I mean, travel is one of the best. I mean, I guess it turns like, obviously books or a lesson, something like that is going to be the best way to learn something. But the best way to like experience and like learn about cultures or about people, about yourself, whatever. All of the above is travel. There's no other. But you can read about it in a book, but until you see it or experience it, it's completely different.
Yeah, you can learn the theoretical knowledge. Like, I'm a history nut, so if I go to a place, I'll probably know the history, like timeline about what happened and stuff like that. But you really actually learn the history and like you said, the culture more than anything else. You only learn that when you get there. And I mean, if you're a traveler, not a tourist. If you're a tourist, you're going to stay in your five-star hotel, eat their food, have some cocktails, swim in the pool, and go home. But if you're a traveler like you and I, like how we travel, we try and hang out with local people and learn about everything there. That's the best, isn't it? It's just
Mm-hmm.
going with the flow and just yeah, man.
It's like,
I miss it, dude. Every time I talk about it, I miss it.
I think it's the closest you can get to like, like okay, it's like if you play a video game, how like you just kind of like you're immersed in this story, right? When you play it, like not all video games, but certain video games, like you get immersed in this world that is different than your world, and it's interesting to interact with it and learn about it and learn how to gamify it, I guess, in the game sense. But like when you travel, it's like the same. I think it's very much the same appeals and feelings. It's like you're immersed in this world that you don't fully understand yet, but as you interact with the people, or as you do what the people do who live in that city, you get a sense of what that game is about, or what that culture is about, or what that place is about. it's really cool. It's like I don't know, it's the best, most realistic way to like join a game I could think of. That's not a game, but it's life. But it's just
It's
get you
not a
to
game, it's life. But like you said, when you travel, I don't know if it's emancipation or you just, your mind, it's just your personality develops, or you see the world and you realize life is like a game, man. You just gotta not take it so seriously and just go with the flow, and something good always happens, man. Like, dude, I was talking to this on my last podcast. I was talking to a friend of mine. He ended up in Varanasi because I sent him to a. I said he ended up in Varanasi in the north because I sent him to a hostel in the south, and he met somebody there, and he ended up there. But point is, it's the butterfly effect or the domino effect or whatever you want to say. If I hadn't stopped because I was just lazy, dude. I was like, I got a 4-hour flight to Bali, and I don't want to do a 4-hour flight. I got lazy. I like, I'll just break journey in Bangkok. I've been to Bangkok. I can't even count, dude. At least 100 times without exaggeration because of my flights. And I've been to Khao San fucking 100 times too. Like I know bars and like where to eat there. Um, so I was like, I just don't feel like doing a continuous journey. I wanted to sleep and have a beer and eat some Thai food and then go to Bali. And I had stuff booked in Bali. And if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have met you guys, and we would not be having this podcast right now. But it's pretty cool, right? That's what I learned when you're traveling. I just learned how to just go with the flow in life, man. Just treat it like one big journey. And I know it sounds cliche and boring, but when you do it, it just actually makes a lot of sense.
makes sense. Yeah, I think cliches. I hate them, but they're also very many times true, if not, like they are. Like it is a cliche. It's like you just need to go and experience and learn and blah blah blah. But it's like, but really, you do just need to go and experience and learn and
Yeah.
indulge in somebody else for a little bit and indulge in another culture for a little bit. You don't even have to like it. That's the other thing too. That's
Yeah.
beautiful about travel is like people can have a horrible experience in a certain sense. I mean, outside of like I guess physical harm, I don't want to say that, but like
Yeah.
everything you do wrong, and like you could either still look back on that and be like, oh, that's funny, like that trip up hiking up to the mountaintop, like going up was fine. Then staying there the next day, miserable all day, sucked because I knew that the closest like you know medicine if I wanted anything like that was like a 5 hour hike at least.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so it's
All
like I was stuck. I was in it, But it's like,
there's
but I look back on it and it's funny. It's a fun experience. It's like, oh wow, I can't believe I did that, or I can't believe that happened. Like, but I'm still here. I'm still alive. Still kicking. So it's like even when the
yeah.
bad things happen, you learn to appreciate them for for just what they are, or good things too, or good things turning into bad things, or not the way expecting, not the way you want them to.
I remember, man, when I got stuck in no man's land between Cambodia and Thailand once. Again, I think this is year 2013. I just become a captain, right, from co-pilot. So I should have money in my bank account because I've been flying for 6 years. But I was there for about 10 days with a buddy of mine. And he was leaving because his leave was over and I just got a couple of days left. So I was going to stick around. But I don't know why. I had no money left in my bank account. Like I had mortgage that time. So if I paid even $100 more, like my mortgage was going to default that month. So I was like, wow, I'm broke, you know what I mean? So my friend was like, "There's some money. At least eat well." You know what I mean? I'm like, "Thanks, buddy." So, so I'm hanging around there, and I loved Cambodia, man. I was in Siem Reap most of the time, and dude, my Angkor Wat was like a dream come true because I've always wanted to go to Angkor Wat even before I was a child. Anyways, I was coming back, and so the cheapest way to come back was by road, and apparently it was a very dangerous road. But once you've lived in India, nothing's really dangerous, especially on the road. It was a pretty normal road. And there's a border crossing between Thailand and Cambodia. And the guy in Cambodia is like a fishing village almost, right? So the border crossing, it was a fishing village, but they had some sort of technology. So when we were crossing, he'd do your fingerprinting and stuff like that. He just didn't like my face. It's probably got something to do with my red sunglasses and big beard, yellow pajamas and stuff. But he's like, okay, go. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, thanks, buddy. So I go. And I'm standing in line. So there's no man's land there. And then I'm standing in line in the Thai border because I need a visa on arrival just to get to Bangkok. I just need a visa on arrival. It's no big deal. It's just 1,000 baht. And when my number comes up, he says, no, 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 no. And I'm like, what happened? And then he starts saying something in Thai, and then he gets pissed off. And I'm like, what's happening here? And then he makes me stand, and then, no, sorry, then he starts checking my bag. In my bag, there's a small Buddha made of jade, because somebody gifted this to me, okay, when I was there. Now this guy gets suspicious because A, I look like a drug peddler. Secondly, I've got jade, and you were not allowed to bring jade from Cambodia to Thailand unless you had a certificate, because Cambodia is this one massive uh, restoration site, especially Angkor Wat, and you can very easily steal antiquities there. So this is the explanation I got, at least. And he got really pissed off, and he made me sit on the side. And I'm trying to tell him I'm a pilot, but I look like I'm a drug peddler. And trying to show my ticket, but it's 10 days old because it's an open ticket. I can go anytime. He doesn't understand. And I'm standing on the side, and he got two cops sitting in front of me, and I'm like garrisoned there. And I'm like, okay, this is fun. And then somebody like tried to help me out as an Indian guy. Tried to explain to this guy, because the Indian guy spoke a little bit of Thai. And I tried to explain to him what happened. So he's like, okay, go, get lost. So he told me to go back to Cambodia, cross the no man's land, which is like almost a mile, and get myself stamped. Now I go back to Cambodia, and I can't re-enter. I can't just go around the bend to get in front of the post, because if I'm doing that, it's a re-entry, and my visa for Cambodia is single entry. So I just couldn't just go around the post just to get a stamp. And then I was like, nobody's understanding what I'm saying, and they're all just really pissed off. So I just gave up for a while. I just sat there, like, I just lit up smoke and just sat there and had a couple of beers. I mean, in no man's land, but they got shops and stuff in no man's land. So I'm having a beer, I'm having a smoke. I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen. And I'm broke. I literally had no money. Honestly, I had no money, because all the money I had was gone with the travel, and the bus that was going to take me from Bangkok to the airport. Sorry, from the border to the airport, that left without me. So now I'm broke, and I'm just like, whatever. I'm gonna have a smoke and a beer. And then I don't know how I convinced one of the guys there, and he literally took me as a cop, like a Cambodian cop. And he took me across. The guy looks at me, gives me a snarl, stamps my passport. He forgot to stamp my passport. Basically, long story short, I forgot to say that. Sorry. The reason why he thought I was a smuggler was because my passport wasn't stamped, an exit stamp from Cambodia. I had jade in me, and my ticket was 10 days old, and I looked like a drug smuggler. So then I stamped it, and then I got back. Now I had no money to get to the airport. Same Indian guy. The Indian guy was there because he was shopping. That border town in Thailand was famous for garments. So he used to come here once a month or something, buy cheap garments, go back to India. So he knew how to speak. So he put me in a bus, and the bus was like a van, like a minivan. And the van was going straight to Swarnabhumi Airport. And I was like, thank you very much. He paid for it. Such a nice guy. Good Samaritan right there. I was like, and I showed up. I got my ticket. I went to the bathroom and shaved. And it was a business class ticket because, my airline, I used to get those privileges. And I went straight to the Thai lounge, sat there, and said, need a single malt, please. I'm tired.
Yeah, well, good thing you got there, man. Fortunate, very fortunate.
It was fun. It's a fun story to tell now.
Man.
Yeah.
Selling t-shirts or something.
Cool shit happens, dude.
Yeah.
Tell me this: once this lockdown ends, if you had to choose one place to go to, where would you go?
No, I mean, I've been thinking about that because I'm in my head. I think we're opening back up in March across the board. I don't know why.
Who's opening up?
Everything.
The world's opening up.
Everything's open.
You're dreaming.
I know.
But it's good, man, because I'm dreaming too.
Gotta have something to dream about, right?
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm thinking March, and as part of that, like I'm kind of two different places on that. So the one is I've never been. My family's from Jamaica, and I've only been there a couple times, and the last time was over 12 years ago. So one thought is to like a Southern and South America and Central America kind of tour. So go down to Jamaica for a week, maybe visit some family, stay in a nice resort for a day or two, just because I can. Then go to Mexico, then Brazil, and finally Colombia. Spent probably the most time in Colombia of the three. And then, so that would potentially be the South American tour. I don't know, maybe there's other places I could visit too on that list or while I'm down there, but those are the main ones that I want to hit. And then, or do Western Europe, I'm sorry, Eastern Europe, because I did mostly Western Europe last time I was there. So I'd like to hit up Eastern Europe, but in part of that, also stop in the Netherlands and see my uncle, stay with them for a couple weeks, maybe just because why not? And then, yeah, go on to the Eastern Europe and also Turkey while I'm out there.
Oh man, Turkey. Mm,
Yeah.
definitely my top three countries in the world. Definitely. I'm not gonna say it might be the best. It might be my favorite country in the world, but you know,
Well,
it changes. It changes with my mood. Sometimes Spain's my favorite country in
yeah,
the world.
yeah.
So, but it's definitely top three. Definitely top three, man. If you go there, I just got a cool story again. When I was in a town called Selçuk, I was traveling with this one Austrian guy. It was his first solo trip, so he said, "Can he tag along with me?" I said, "Most certainly." And he was making a video of his travels, or our travels actually. It's a very cool video. It's on Vimeo and partially starring me, but it's a pretty cool video nonetheless. And we went. This was a time when Turkey was in a lot of turmoil, so there was a lot of protests in Istanbul, like a massive. It was a huge protest in Istanbul. I don't know if you remember, it was all over the news at that point in time. So we were at that time in Istanbul, and then we traveled to Cappadocia, and then we ended up in a place called Selçuk, which is the gateway to Ephesus, which is an ancient Roman city, which is where the first church to Mother Mary was built. It's a beautiful place. So while we were there, we were staying in the town called Selçuk, and we became friends with uh, this guy who worked in an antique store. So he's like a local guy. He used to work in an antique store, and he wasn't exactly a rich guy, but he was such a lovely guy that every night, his store used to shut down, and we used to go and sit with him inside his antique store with all the lights on, and we used to drink tea and play chess, smoke the hookah, and the local it was in the square, so like his friend used to come there. Actually, I don't think it was his friend. I think it was his uncle or something. He was always drunk, and he used to be every day. He used to be related to somebody. He was related to Ataturk, who's like the father of Turkey, and the next day he was related to Salahuddin, who is like the guy who won the Third Crusade. You know what I mean? So he's just like that guy, and he was a cool guy, and he was a Kurd, and he told us his whole story and everything. And I've actually been in touch with that guy. He became a soldier in the Turkish army. He's a Kurd, and he was a soldier in the Turkish army. Can you believe that? It's like a Jew fighting with the Nazis, like fighting for the Nazis. It was the worst. And he called me on video phone. I'm like, why the hell are you in a soldier's uniform? And he tried to make sense of it, but it doesn't make. He wanted to get to the United States. I thought he said it makes sense. I don't know how. Nonetheless, I spoke to him again recently, and he's doing really well. He's out of the army. He's got his own hotel in Selçuk, and a really nice one too, man. Yeah, fuck, it's awesome. And he's got two garment
know where
factories.
we're visiting. If we go down there, we're gonna spend
For
a
sure,
fancy
for sure.
night in a hotel.
He's got two garment factories and a hotel. I'm like, I'm there, man. I'm not even gonna think about it.
Yeah, but yeah, Turkey's up there. I mean, the food, the
Oh,
history, the
oh,
architecture, like all of it. Those are all the things that I want to like indulge in for all. I was even thinking of doing this was a cool thing that I did while I was in Colorado too. Was woofing. You ever heard of that?
I have heard of roofing, but I don't know what it is. Can you tell me that?
So I forget exactly what the letters stand for, but essentially it's like worldwide organic farming opportunities, something like that. So you can find online, you can go on this website and look up basically almost any country in the world and find places that are offering to like, where basically you volunteer your time in terms of like work labor, and then you'll get to stay with them, and either there's all different options in terms of how much time you're working and how little and all that kind of stuff, where it's located. They're, like I said, all over the world. What kind of farming that they do, like maybe if you want to do like work on a fruit farm, you can search for that. If you want to work strictly vegetables, you can search for that. If you want to work with animals, you can search for that. So it's cool. So I did this for a week when I was in Colorado. I worked on this organic farm in Paonia, Colorado. It was awesome place. Like loved it. I could have spent easily months there. Only spent a week there, but so did that, and that was a really great way of like visiting the town and like staying because we worked. That place was one where you worked a little bit longer because we would work from like I don't know 8 a.m. or something like 7 or 8 a.m. until like 4 in the afternoon with like an hour break for lunch. Um, but then like so that one we worked a lot longer throughout the days. There's other ones we could work like for 3 hours of the day, but then still get a place to stay, and usually they give you room and board or at least room. Um, and it's a great way to travel if, on the cheap. Like if you want to go visit, like let's say you want to visit Florence in Italy, right? But you don't want to pay for while you're there. It's like if you can find a farm close enough that's like it's convenient for you to get into the city when you want to. It's a great way to like save some money, get really into the culture, into like the local group like environment versus just staying in a hotel or in a hostel or something like that.
It's a good
Fun
idea for
experience.
Europe, dude. It's a great idea for Europe because you can live in Tuscany because there's a lot of farmland in Tuscany, and Tuscany is beautiful. You can
Yeah,
live in France. You can work in a beautiful vineyard in Bordeaux, maybe. Bordeaux is a beautiful city. That's a very good idea. I don't
yeah.
think I can do it, though. I think as Indians, you need some special galactic uh, permission or something like that. I
I
don't
mean,
think so because my visa won't allow that. Your visa would allow that. That's why.
yeah, like I couldn't say like I mean I know that for example like most of these countries I would have to be on there on a it wouldn't be a work visa, it would just be in a normal travel visa. So
It's
whatever
called a
amount of time.
it's called a working travel visa, right?
No, because you're not getting paid. So you're not really. I mean, you are working, but you're not really. You're not getting paid. You're just getting like room and board for whatever you do.
I think there's
It's
a
no.
visa. I think it's called a working travel visa. I think you do that in Australia, like you work in farms
Yeah,
for
but
six
that's what I'm
months.
saying. That's different. That's
Ah,
that's
okay.
still where you're getting paid
Okay.
by whatever it is, and that'll depend upon what country you're coming from and going to, and that comes into play. But this is not that. This is just like for as long as for whatever period of time you could stay in that country on just a travel visa
Yeah,
is how long you can work for them in that instance because
man, do
it's
that.
not a form it's not like you're
Do it.
written down their books as like this is the employee number 14 or whatever. It's just you're just there doing work on a farm or whatever for as
Dude,
long as you agree.
do it. Go work in a vineyard, man. Learn how to make some wine. Be like Jesus, dude. Turn that water into wine. What are you doing? Don't waste your
Got
time.
toes in it. No, I mean that's the saying. It's like that's something I was looking into before all this happened. The Corona thing and pushed everything back timeline for like what I was looking at as far as getting out and traveling again. But that's why like March, I'm thinking I'm going to try to start setting some stuff up for March and after that because I'm hoping that by then, most countries will have opened
Yeah.
up as far as long travel.
Oh, for sure.
So
Europe is already open, man, in a big way. Most people are,
yeah, but like
everybody I know is in
most,
Portugal.
but a lot of these countries are not allowing U.S. citizens in.
Yeah, because United States, India, I think, what is it, China? I think top three, right? United States, India, and China?
I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Well, here's hoping. Well, on that note, I think we should dream a little more. And yeah, we'll make some more plans, dude. Talk about this.
Yeah,
Talk about some cool stories another time. We've got so many, I'm sure. It'll just, as you keep talking, just keep remembering new and new stories
more
that
stuff. Yeah,
happen as we travel.
and we got to
So,
create more as soon as possible.
for shizzle, man, I'm thinking about it. Thinking about it. I want to get that hostel running. I think Bali will be a great place for the hostel, dude. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I have this
I saw
feeling in
the
my
videos you
belly.
sent me. Like, I could
Huh?
do Bali. I saw the
I
video
don't
you
know.
sent.
I've never been to Bali, but every time I think about it and I see videos, I'm like, this seems like paradise. Today I landed, and there was another pilot on board. He used to fly for an Indonesian airline before, and he was telling me about Bali. He said it's ridiculous and how cheap it is. I mean, what he said, I was like, that doesn't make sense. But he's like, I'm not joking. I used to live there, so I can tell you it's true. So I was like, wow. And I mean, you've seen pictures of Bali, so
Mm,
I think Bali is
I'm down.
definitely a consideration.
Let's do it in Bali.
All right, man. Let's do this. Thanks for stopping by. I will
Yeah,
catch you on the flip
anytime.
side.
The flippity flop.
All right, buddy.
All right,
Peace out.
we'll see you.